Hey, who is it? The man's drunken voice came from the other end of the phone, with his wife's laughter in the background. Zhang Jiming, a 38-year-old financial director, was lying in the hospital infusion room. The 39-degree fever gave him a splitting headache, but not as much as the pain in his heart. Dragging his sick body, he took a taxi to his wife's pre-marriage apartment and pushed open a door he shouldn't have. Lin Yu and I were introduced to each other. The first time I saw her, I was mesmerized by her aura. Not only did she have delicate features, fair skin, and long thick hair that swung around, she walked with the wind. The most attractive thing is that she loves to smile and the corners of her mouth are always in an upward curve. Whether it is shopping malls or dinner, she can chat with shoppers and waiters, and people smile when they see her. The man at the next table steals a glance at her from time to time, and even forgets to settle the bill. I grew up with the kind of honest nature, never late for work, every statement to check 3 times. My coworkers joked that I was like a robot, and I even brought a notepad with me on blind dates, filled with questions to ask. Annual meeting to dance. I just stand in the corner drinking drinks, really cannot put off, but also stiffly twisted, too finished. Now I'm 38 years old, in the state-owned enterprises as a financial director, live in a Riverview house to drive a German car every month. The salary is also 4 or 5 million. When it comes to me, everyone says I'm a good and reliable man. The introduction of the object of the phone one after another. But I looked at the eyes of the people, gorgeous makeup, listened to the ears of the flowery laughter. I think it is not what I want. Every time I go on a blind date, the woman will think I'm too boring, either because I don't understand the flavor or because I'm old-fashioned, and there will be no further discussion after 3 dates. But Lin Yu is different. On the first date, she was particularly interested in my work, and she even talked about financial analysis for half a day. More surprisingly, she said that she liked my reliable character the most. After a meal, I felt for the first time that I was not so boring. Her eyes lit up when she talked about her family. After eating, actually took the initiative to pay the bill, but also generous with me to ask for WeChat. At that moment, I felt my heartstrings were touched. Perhaps this is love at first sight. Soon we were in love. Every day after work, I went to pick her up on time, where she went to report. Let me feel particularly at ease. I took her to eat Michelin. She praised me to understand life. Weekend date, I drove the navigation to find food. She was in the passenger seat on the sweet sleep. Not long after, we got a license and had a decent wedding in a 5-star hotel. But the good times did not last long. I realized something was wrong. Previously dating never seen male friends. Now one after another appeared. This about playing golf. That shouted to go wine tasting. Lin Yu's circle of friends are full of photos with men. Every day she comes home late, says it is socializing, and always sends me a location, as if she knows the score, but such tacit understanding makes my heart feel even worse. I have never been the kind of stingy man. Wife has a few friends of the opposite sex is very normal. But Wang Kai, this person, makes me especially uncomfortable. He alone has liked and commented more times in Lin Yu's circle of friends than all the other men combined. Sometimes when I brush my friend circle, I can always find photos of the two of them having afternoon tea and watching a painting exhibition together. Later I realized that Wang Kai and Lin Yu had an unusual relationship. They were in the same class in college, and I heard from my classmates at the time that the two of them were especially close, and the whole class thought that they were going to make a success of it. Eating always sit together. Class is also inseparable. Every New Year's Day party, but also perform programs together. Just do not know why the graduation, the two suddenly cut off contact. Last year, Wang Kai opened a gallery through the reunion and met Lin Yu. He knew that Lin Yu married, not only did not hide, but intensified to get together. One day I came home from work, just heard him say, "Others can only look at you from afar, and I want to be your closest friend, dear male best friend. That way I'll always be there for you." The way he stared at Lin Yu when he said this made me uncomfortable. What made me even more angry was that not only did Lin Yu not refuse, she even smiled and said, "You're quite good at finding a niche for yourself." Lin Yu now played until late every day. When I asked her where she went, she said that she attended art salons and wine tasting parties, which were all things I didn't understand anyway. Sometimes she even rushes home at 2 or 3 a.m., saying she's talking about life with her friends. What's even cooler for me is that she started avoiding me. She used to sleep and snuggle in my arms, but now she says it's hot and has to sleep in a separate bed. When I tried to get close to her, she either said she was tired, or she had her period, or she simply pretended to be asleep. It's not easy to have a time. She is also perfunctory. Her eyes are emptied. I'm a person with a good temper, but I can't help it. You've been too close to Wang Kai lately, right? Big night. Always, and he bubbled together like what words? Are you done? How many times have I said it's just ordinary friends? Lin Yu slammed her cell phone in annoyance. Do you think you're perfect? All day long you just know how to check up on me. You don't understand romance at all. Is it because you think I'm too boring? All you know is work all day. I stared at the side of her face. The words were solid. I know I don't know how to coax women, but I'm trying to change it. Last week, I purposely asked my coworkers for tips, booked a 3-star Michelin restaurant, and asked them to help decorate a room full of roses, and even the champagne was woken up in advance. In order to look less rustic, I even went to learn how to open the champagne. As a result, after 2 hours of waiting at the restaurant, she didn't even show up, so she sent a message. I have something to do. I can't go tonight, you eat first. Only later did I realize that she had gone to see some late-night painting exhibition with Wang Kai again. The waitress looked at me with a sympathetic face as she cleaned up the mess. I held back my anger and didn't snap. But holding back will only give some people an inch. When I returned home after reviewing the annual report that day, I saw Lin Yu nestled on the sofa chatting on WeChat. I don't know what the other side said. She laughed and trembled, and her mouth said, "Hate it." When she saw me come back, she immediately put away her smile and put her phone's lock screen facing down. My temples jumping, dizziness. Also do not care about her, directly lying on the bed to sleep. In a daze, I heard her gently walk out the door. I woke up in the middle of the night, and my head hurt like it was going to explode. I touched my forehead, and it was so hot that it was scary, so I looked for a thermometer and measured it, and it was 39 degrees. I hurriedly called Lin Yu, wanting her to come back to take care of me. The phone rang several times before it connected, and the voice that came through was a man's slurred voice. Hello. Who is it? There was music and a woman's laughter in the background. Before I could say anything, the phone was hung up. The voice was Wang Kai. I braced my weak body to take a taxi to the hospital. On the way, the cab driver looked at my pale face and asked one after another, "Brother, is it going to be okay?" After hanging up the 4, I sent another message to Lin Yu, but it was stone cold. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the hospital was as cold as an ice cellar, and the nurse saw me alone and handed me a blanket. I looked at the white light above my head, the needle stuck in the back of my hand. My heart is more painful than the needle. When I got home at dawn, the house was dark. Turn on the light and found that the sofa is still the same as last night. Lin Yu's bag thrown on it. The cell phone charging cable is still plugged into the socket, but the person is nowhere to be seen. This is the first time she hasn't returned all night. Suddenly, I remembered the apartment Lin Yu lived in before she got married. She said she wanted to keep it as her alone space, so I let her. Now that I think about it, this isn't a space for solitude. It's clearly a rendezvous place. Although my whole body is still hot, but I do not care so much. I called a cab and went straight to her old house. It was drizzling on the road, and the windshield wipers were swinging rhythmically, like they were counting down the days to my marriage. It was almost 2 in the morning when I stood in front of the familiar door. The porch's sensor light flickered on and off, illuminating my heart. Through the door, I could faintly hear the sound of talking and laughing inside. The key had been clutched so hot that my hand was shaking. A voice in my head is saying, maybe if I open this door, my marriage will be over. But a man's pride wouldn't allow me to pretend I didn't know anything. Taking a deep breath, I inserted the key. The moment I pushed the door open, The image in front of me made my heart twist. Messy clothes were scattered all over the place. Bottles of wine were tilted to the east and west. And my favorite woman, Iz, and her male best friend, embracing together. The smell of red wine mixed with the ambiguous breath made me want to vomit. My mind was buzzing. I even forgot about my fever. I rushed up and grabbed Wang Kai's collar and slammed my fist uncontrollably on his face. This usually high and mighty man, but now he didn't dare to say a single harsh word, just kept begging for mercy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hit him so hard that my hands hurt. But even if I beat him into the hospital, what can I do? The person I trusted the most had betrayed me. Lin Yu curled up in the corner and cried, Jiming, listen to my explanation. I just feel aggrieved and want to talk to someone. Aggrieved? I laughed coldly. Wearing the dress I bought you, stepping on the high heels I gave you, coming to cheat with another man. This is your grievance? I just don't think you understand me. She sobbed. All you do is work all day. You can't even say a warm word. So you just lay into someone else's arms? I slammed my fist against the wall, in the middle of the night, unclothed, just to confide? Get out. I pointed at the door, my voice so cold it was unfamiliar even to myself. Take your things and get out. Lin Yu cried as she gathered her clothes. Wang Kai also wanted to take the opportunity to slip away. I grabbed him by the collar. That gallery of yours, it specializes in this, right? No wonder I've never seen you sell any paintings. Brother Jiming, he covered his beaten face, unable to say a word of defense. Looking at this room again, there was irony everywhere. On the wall hangs our wedding photo. She smiles so sweetly. On the coffee table, there is also a lipstick that I bought for her. Even the packaging is not removed. The pair of high-heeled shoes in the corner was picked by me on her birthday. Now think about it. Every time she smiles is not acting. 3 days later, I came out of the hospital. This time the fever is very heavy. The doctor said a little later to be hospitalized. But all those medicines can't compare to the pain in my heart. Lin Yu entrusted a lot of people to come to say mercy. Said she knew it was wrong. Said it was a momentary lapse of judgment, and said she was willing to cut ties with all her friends of the opposite sex. But when I see her face now, I will remember the scene of that night. A month later, I met a woman downstairs at the company. She claimed to be Wang Kai's ex-wife. That gallery, that's his usual routine. Every time, he pretends to be deep in love, saying that he wants to be someone's confidant and bosom friend. No need to say it, I interrupted her. Let bygones be bygones. I'm still the same 9-to-5 finance director. I'm still meticulous about my reports. I just won't change myself for anyone anymore, and I won't believe in male girlfriends anymore. Some people say that marriage is the grave of love. But what really buried my marriage, But what really buried my marriage was those betrayals under the banner of confidant.